Hello and welcome back to another episode of Count Me In, IMA's podcast about all things affecting the accounting and finance world. I'm your host, Adam Larson, and today we're going to hear my co-host Mitch Roshong's conversation with the Managing Director in BDO's Chicago office, Kirstie Tiernan. First, as a reminder, if you're enjoying what you hear on Count Me In, please make sure to subscribe, download, rate, and review all podcasts. Feel free to share your comments with us in the review section of the episodes, or just send us an email. Now, Mitch, learning that Kirstie has over 15 years of experience in data analytics and IT advisory, what was she able to share during your conversation?
Kirstie is a certified fraud examiner and an Oracle certified associate. She is experienced in managing fraud detection and prevention analysis projects and was able to share a lot of real-life examples about some of her work with her clients. As you said, she has a strong background in IT, so she is a big proponent of researching and implementing technology to enhance various accounting services. We talked about how these advancements have improved the services she's able to provide, as well as how it's changed the investigative work she needs to do with her clients. At the end of the conversation, Kirstie adds an intriguing prediction about what is next for the future of accounting. She's an engaging speaker, an established and extremely successful professional, and someone I really enjoyed speaking with. Have a listen for yourself as we'll now go to the conversation. From your experience with digital forensics and e-discovery services in the recent years, what kind of impact has this technology, the AI, RPA, had on fraud in the accounting industry?
Well, for forensic accountants, the increasing role of data that we have in business and in every day of our lives and how much data is being created, that really just creates such a scope of potentially relevant evidence for investigations around in digital forensics and e-discovery. So I think the fact that the data is growing so exponentially so quickly, that's probably for forensics accountants one of the biggest issues and one of the biggest impacts that technology has really had. With that, though, goes all of these new tools and all of these new ways and methodologies and using AI and machine learning, all these different things that we can utilize to cull that data down. So where in the past for an e-discovery project where we were looking at a lot more data, now we're using analytics, predictive coding, a lot of different tools to really narrow down exactly what those relevant documents are and how we can review those most efficiently. So from my experience in kind of digital forensics and e-discovery on that side, I'd say the impact that technology has really had has been that in allowing us to review those very large sets of data very quickly. And it's made it a little bit more difficult now that we have those tools for fraudsters to do the same old tricks, right? So it does create a bit of a deterrent for the same fraud that's been that's been created time and time again. However, with that also comes the risk that AI and some of these algorithms are allowing fraudsters to also develop their schemes. So technology has impacted it both directions. And we just hope that we can keep up, with the ways the fraudsters are using it by detecting it quicker and using all these different new tools, statistic tools and analyses to really be able to identify these anomalies that are being created by fraudsters and new schemes.
And how about with these tools, through your investigations, what kind of positive results have you recognized because of these different advancements and capabilities? In other words, what type of key business decisions or conclusions have you kind of been able to lead your clients to because of these accelerated processes?
Yeah, so we have a lot of clients that maybe they know about a fraud that's going on. And the typical issue is, okay, we're going to go investigate that. But our concern is what else is going on that we didn't know about, right? And now we've got a ton of email data, we've got accounting system data, we've got POS data, we've got all this data that exists that we could search for where things could be happening that we're not even thinking about looking for yet. And so I think what AI has really allowed us to do is when a client comes to us and says, yep, go investigate this, but what else is going on? We're now able to use those tools and that technology to go through those large sets of data. And so we had a client not too long ago where they came to us and that was the exact issue. And they said, what else could be going on? They said, just take a peek at the data and take a high level view of it somehow and tell us what else we should be looking at. So we ran it through some of our anomaly. We have a fraud detection algorithm we use, and we look at it at the GL data, so the journal entry data by account, and we assess the risk by account using this algorithm. And what it's able to do is bubble up to the top these transactions that look different than others, right? So you have all these transactions hitting revenue, for instance, and then all of a sudden it sees something differently. When you're talking about a client that has 10 million journal entries a month, it's impossible to run a round dollar analysis or show me all the payments on the weekends, that kind of stuff to find this fraud. You need something bigger and something that can handle a lot more of the data sets that we're dealing with. So when we had that client come to us and gave us 3 years of data and 10 million journal entries a month, we were able to push it through the algorithm. The algorithm came back and it highlighted certain accounts of high risk year over year. And so what we did is we went back to the client and we said, okay, here are the top 10 high risk accounts that our tool is seeing. And one of them, the top one, was liquor tax. And they had never had liquor tax in their review items. So that account kind of popped to the top and was something that allowed us to further investigate, but something that they hadn't, initially really reviewed in their typical internal audit process.
And how about something that may not be fraud related? What are some of the positive results that you've been able to, advise clients? Again, maybe something like process efficiency or, something where tech has been able to just improve overall business functions.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest area for our clients right now is to focus on tax transformation and tax automation. So within a lot of our clients' tax teams, there's never enough people, right? There's always too much work. We had a client that came to us that said, hey, I've got 10 people on my team and I want them to be home at 5 p.m. I want them home on the weekends, but they're here every night till 8 o'clock and they're here on the weekends. So I just want them to enjoy time with their family, and I can't get that for them because there's too much work and I can't hire more people. So he said, my only option is to consider automation. So we came in, and when you walk into that room and you've got 10 people, he had his whole team of 10 people there, and we were supposed to be brainstorming automation ideas. That can be very intimidating for people that are going through that process, right? Because everybody thinks they're going to lose their job because it's being automated. But I thought he did something really brilliant. He brought us in and he opened up the conversation to his team and said, I want to know today, what about your job sucks? And when he presented it that way, people started thinking about that. And, there's not a lot of people out there who don't have one thing about their job that sucks, right? Everybody's got something that they do that takes time and that they would just love to hand off. And that's the kind of stuff we're trying to get to with automation. And especially in the tax world, there is so much of that. Reconciliations, filing the sales and use tax returns online, things that are just very manual and very repetitive. And I think we have to get over the fear of what's being automated. And if we're able to present it in a way like he did, saying, I want to make your life better, I want to take these things off your plate that you don't want to do anyway, that really helps the team accept it and understand it and welcome it.
With all of this technology and AI, all these possible improvements, for you personally, what has been the most interesting part of your career or the most rewarding maybe project that you've worked on? How do you truly appreciate this technology and what you do every day?
I think for me, what I've realized is, you come out of school thinking you're going to have these skill sets and you're going to use those forever. And that is so not true in this world, right? Like the things that we would have talked about 2 months ago are completely different than today. So it is just ever changing. And some of the skill sets that we look for now versus previously are just so different. And so I'd say just the amount of change that you'd have to adapt to and get good at, right? So now when we interview people, we don't interview them for specific database skills or programming skills. We have to understand that that person is able to adapt to change. They have to be quick learners. They have to be able to self-learn, right? We have a lot of remote, our entire environment for our team is remote. So everybody has to be very self-motivated, has to do their own training. And I think that's a really important part of at least what I've seen in my career of from what I expected initially. There's a lot of get out there, understand it, keep on it, and it's changing every day. So it's a never ending learning process, which I really enjoy. And so that it really works for me. And I love, finding new technologies, finding new AI tools to be able to take those and help pilot to our clients. We had a manufacturer, a longtime manufacturing client of ours that I work with on a regular basis. And one of their issues is that they have a lot of people walking around their warehouse identifying empty spots in the warehouse. And it's a pretty common issue, right? So there's always somebody doing that. One of the things that we're exploring now with them is using drones to do that. So it's, I'm not sure that I would have thought 5 years ago that's what I would be talking with clients about, but that kind of thing, really exploring the leading edge emerging tech, that's really exciting to me.
And what advice do you have for the future accountants? So maybe it's somebody who's already in the accounting field but needs to adapt to these changes. Maybe it's a student. How do you recommend, or what do you recommend as far as the learning that you referenced and developing the skills that you are currently seeking, so that as these people, grow through the industry, you're more likely to bring them onto your team or something in a similar capacity?
It's hard to judge how someone's going to react to change from a resume in an interview even. So I think the way to show how quick you are to adapt to new technologies and skill sets is to always be getting training in those areas. So for instance, right now, robotic process automation is really popular. Data analytics, there's all of these different kind of areas of my world and technology within the accounting world that you can study and learn on your own. So when a resume comes to me and I see that someone's been learning UiPath and they've got their certification, which costs $100, that they can get, that shows that I know that they're self-motivated and that they can start to seek out these technologies and they can be on the edge of this, because that's never going to end in their career. They're always going to have to be thinking about that. They're always going to have to be training on something new. So I really look for people that are self-motivated and self-taught and are really trying out a lot of the different tools that we're seeing in the market today.
And I guess my last question for you, with these new tools in the market and this changing profession, really, the role itself, what kind of future projections or predictions do you think you may come across with clients and future projects? You mentioned earlier you were a little surprised that drones were being used. So what else do you think you might be able to do within this accounting and finance field?
Sure. So I think one of the things that I think people think is still pretty far off, but I think is definitely here, and is augmented reality. And I've started, we've been exploring all the different industries and clients that we may have that can use this. And there's so many different opportunities for augmented reality. And I think that's going to be the next thing that kind of blows us away, and how our clients are using that. I mean, we see a lot of clients using it from a customer perspective. We have some clients are using, like nonprofits that are using it to help donors understand, let's say, a surgical room they want to build for a hospital, and they want a donor to donate to that. Rather than trying to get the donor to look at drawings, they instead use augmented reality to build out that environment, and they walk that donor through the surgical center that they want to build. That's a much different way of raising money than the nonprofits have done in the past. So I think thinking through these kinds of things with our clients, where in the past we've been more focused on data analytics. Now it's a little bit more of what else digital transformation wise can we help our clients understand and look at. And I think augmented reality is going to be a really big piece of that.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.